Welcome to So Very Easy. My name is Laura, and for the last couple of months, I've been following along with the free follow-along pattern from Coats Thread Company. It's called the Milky Way wall hanging. It was all paper pieced. And now that the entire quilt top has been finished, it's time to get it quilted. So let's do a very simple quilt design with a couple of little stars in it. The quilt top is done. The next thing will be sandwiching your layers together to get it ready to be quilted. So I have my front, my back, and my batting. Now I've used a black batting from Fairfield, and for the back I'm going to use this beautiful black marbled fabric, and it is from Free Spirit Fabrics. Now I like to spray baste my quilts together. I have a video that I'll put a link in if you'd like to see how I spray baste them. But you can put this together any way that you want. And once it is all sandwiched together, now we get to do some quilting. But what I like to do before I start quilting is I like to practice my quilting first. I take a sheet of plastic. Now this is just a piece of plastic that you can buy to cover your tablecloth. I make sure that piece of plastic is bigger than my quilt, and I lay it down right over top of my quilt top. Then I take markers that are dry erasable, which means when I write on something, I'm able to wipe those marks off. And I pick up a package that has all different colors so I can practice. And what I'll do is I'll take this marker, draw on the plastic right over top of the quilt, and that will help my brain remember what I'm going to quilt. And it sort of gives me that practice run before I actually start quilting. The pattern that I'm going to do is going to consist of a star and a loop. Your star is going to be your basic 5-line star. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's easy to remember the star if you think of it as letters V. So the first line is a V. The second part is another V, and then you're going to finish that off. To attach these stars together, I'm going to do loops. A loop going in one direction, a loop going in another. And you can do this pattern in any direction you want. So we're going to join the loop and the star together. So here's the design. You're going to do a loop, and a star. Go into a loop, and a star. Now with the star, you can either come out in that direction or you can come back to fill a space. If you need to do more than 2 loops, you can do as many loops as you want and then do another star and a loop and a loop. Your loops can go in different directions and you can just keep looping until you get to a spot where you can do another star. I'm now going to be able to practice my design right on top of this plastic, which is over top of my quilt. And I'm going to start. I'm going to do a loop, and a star, a loop, and a loop, and a star. And just continue all the way until you feel comfortable enough that you are going to be able to take this right to the sewing machine. Now there's no wrong or right pattern for this. You have your loops and you have your stars. And by practicing on the plastic, it's going to, number 1, make it as if you've quilted the quilt already. So you're already familiar with the design that you're going to do. My stars are going to vary in size and my loops are going to vary in size. But it's going to be a really fun pattern when it's done. And when I'm done, I make sure that all of my markers are off of this plastic because I do want to use that plastic again and I don't want to have it transfer to my next project. If you have some problem taking off those lines, a little bit of Windex works great. Let's talk thread. Because there's so many different colors here, you can use almost any color that you'd like. I'm going to find a variegated thread. And that's going to tie all those colors together, and that variegated thread is going to really show up on the black. There's so many different colors on the market and different sizes. If you can get the larger spools, that's really great. it is a good money saver. You get 1,200 yards in one versus the 225 yards in a smaller spool. I'm going to use the Coats quilting cotton, and the color is 813, and it's this lovely rainbow color. And just to make sure, I will pull out a pile of the thread and just lay it over top of the quilt to see if I like the way the thread looks on the quilt. If not, this is the time to change your mind, not after you've done the quilting. So I'm going to put the variegated thread on the bobbin and the top. The next are going to be my needles. I do like to use Schmetz quilting needles, and you can use a 7511 or a 9014. Your 9014 is a little bit heavier, so if you have a lot of seams, you could use the 9014. Either size will work fine. I like to start with one bobbin in the machine and a couple of bobbins ready to go. And because it's going to be free motion, I am going to use my Bernina quilting foot. And this regulates my stitches. It really takes the guesswork out of everything. I'm going to wear my gloves, get my machine set up, and I'll be ready to go. And once you're all set up and ready to go, I like to start with my bobbin thread up to the top. Now I know the machine can knot it on its own, but I like to knot it and pull it in between the layers after. Start with your needle down and your foot down. Now you're ready to go. We're going to start with loop, loop, and star. Loop, loop, star. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go back into a loop, then another loop, and star. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Loop, loop, star. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we can continue and do this whole thing. And as you're quilting, put a rhythm in your mind, and you're going to be able to follow that rhythm. So you could do loop, loop, star, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Loop, loop, star, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And after a while, you won't need that rhythm anymore. But it's great to have so that when you need to stop and go back, you'll be able to get that same rhythm, that same motion going. And when it's all done, you have all of these little loops and stars throughout the entire quilt. And it's really nice with the variegated thread because it really shows up well. And even with the back, you'll see these loop, loop stars. So it has a nice finish along the back. Now, loop, loop stars can be done in any size. You're going to have big stars and small loops, big loops and small stars. Big and big, small and small. However you do it is going to be fine. Loop Loop Stars is a great pattern to get any quilt done that has a bit of a star pattern in it. It's quick and it's easy and it's a lot of fun. Thank you for joining me today on Sew Very Easy. Feel free to subscribe, and as always, come on back. Let's see what we're sewing next time in the sewing room. Bye for now.